to realize something, okay? Everyone's talking about how everyone is a podcaster, everyone is trying to be an influencer, blah, blah, blah. But how are all these people still making it? If the space is truly saturated, how come there's so many successful businesses? And how come people are still popping off? How come new singers pop up all the time? How come people are still going viral? Why are we so archaic in our mindset that we feel like to be a person of influence, you have to be the only one? Like, who said that? For a long time, I felt like I had nothing else to offer to the space because everybody else has a podcast, everybody else is speaking. But it has to get to the point where you're like, even if everyone else is doing this, I enjoy this activity so much. It's such a natural strength of mine that I would rather do this in a saturated market and still enjoy myself.
Hello, welcome to the Live Your Essence podcast. I'm Sabrina Kumwa, your host, and I'm a speaker, singer, and software engineer. On this podcast, we talk about walking in our purpose, enjoying the journey of growth, and approaching life with a sense of curiosity and wonder. Live Your Essence is your space to partner with your God-given uniqueness to build a life you truly love. Now, let's dive into this episode.
Basically, let's just start with my story, right? I've been a content creator since college. I've been making tech content on my page, Brina's Code, and I'm also a singer. I released my first song in 2022, I believe, like end of 2022. So I've been in the space for a little while now. So some people might consider me a micro influencer, like a small content creator or whatever. And I've been doing that for a while. In my content creation journey, I had moments where I had a lot of traction, where I had a lot of momentum. And for some reason, something would just snap at that momentum. Something would just make me stop moving on, make me stop progressing. And it's only been recently that I sat down to try to analyze what happened. Why haven't I been creating content as consistently as I wanted to? What really happened? And I kid you not, as I'm thinking and as I'm reflecting on my experiences from making content over all these years, I realized that the one thing that would kill my momentum is comparison. It's the comparison that starts to make you feel as though everything that can be said has already been said. It's a comparison that makes you feel like someone else is already doing this. So if I copy them, then I'm not unique anymore. It's a comparison that makes you feel as though you need to be super creative, super original in order to have a voice in the industry, in the influencer, YouTube, market, podcast, LinkedIn, whatever you want to have it. And so I started questioning myself because I was like, okay, well, I'm out here putting all this effort into this work. The algorithm is not helping me. What is going on? Is it even worth it? Because if someone else can just Google and get the information that I have to share, or if someone else can watch this other creator who has like 100,000 subscribers and all the authority already and all the trust from their audience already, why would they come to me? Why am I what makes me stand out and what makes me original if I'm just saying the exact same thing? So that's kind of what killed my momentum every single time. Literally, when I look back on my experiences and my journey, English is hard, y'all. The singular thing that killed my momentum was that comparison in that specific way. It was me feeling as though I needed to be so unique, so creative all the time. So I would rack my brains to come up with amazing ideas. And anytime I would drop these amazing ideas and I didn't get the response I was looking for, I felt bad. I just felt like it just wasn't worth it anymore. And I'm sure if you've been in the content creation space for a while, you might have felt this way because the algorithms, sometimes they just don't be given. Okay. So I just wanted to share that with y'all because that's something that I've struggled with for a long time. It's something that I had to pray through. It's something that I had to work on. But I truly believe that I've made it to the other side where I understand a few things. And those are the tips that I want to share with you today. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Z. Z wanted to reach success. Success was an island. The problem is there were so many people trying to reach success at the same time that she just thought there wasn't any point anymore. Because some people were running to the island, some people were walking to the island, some people were flying to the island because their parents had enough to put them in helicopters to fly to the island. So Z was overwhelmed and she was like, I'm never gonna have what it takes. I don't know what to do. But eventually she was just living her life and she found a little tunnel She found a tunnel. She's like, okay, this is interesting. And so she enters a tunnel and she just realizes that she's there by herself. The tunnel only has room for one person. There can't be two people in the tunnel at the same time. And so she enters the tunnel and she's completely lost a little bit. She's like, okay, this is weird. What's going on? And as she keeps moving, she notices that she's moving towards success. And she's like, wait a minute. Hold up, let's pull this back. Let's go back real quick. Did I just find a secret tunnel to success? Like, are you kidding me? The tunnel can only fit one person. So that's her thing. Like, that's her place. That's her lane, literally. And so as she keeps moving in the tunnel, she realizes that the only thing that can stop her from reaching success is herself at this point, because there's no one else in that lane but her. Right now, she's not competing with nobody. Like, she doesn't need to shove anyone to get to success. She doesn't have to do any of that because she's the only one in the tunnel. She's the only person determining how quickly it's going to take her to get there. Life is very similar to the story that I told you, because we are all that person. If you're trying to be successful, you are Z in the story. You can see that other people are like fighting. They're all in the same lane. They're all competing for the same thing in the same lane. Who really wants to do that? Who really wants to do that? I feel like the way to win this game is to exit the game. You cannot win when you're competing with everybody in that fashion. The only way to really truly win this game is to exit the game and do it backwards. It took me a really long time to realize that I'm actually not in competition with anyone but myself. And I know it's super cliche because I would hear that all the time, but just because something is, people say something over and over again doesn't mean that you've perceived the truth behind the statement. So you can know some things in your head and like, okay, this is head knowledge. Yeah, I'm only in competition with myself. You can repeat that day and night if you want without truly believing in the essence of that statement, without truly grasping what it's trying to tell you. That I was that person for a really long time because I would keep saying I'm only in competition with myself, but I was in competition with everybody else and their mamas. You were created with your unique path to success. It took me a really, really long time to understand that because I was trying to measure my success by what the industry needed. So let's say you're trying to start a podcast and you want to measure your success by the types of podcasts maybe that people want to listen to. It's like everything you do is data driven. Everything you do is driven by the trends. Nothing comes from you. Nothing comes from your internal part that says, I just want to create this and I believe I can be successful at that. When it comes especially to these influencer things, you don't understand your unique selling point. You don't understand that you are what makes the content sell. You are the content. Instead of trying to have the perfect content strategy, the perfect this, the perfect outfits, the perfect ideas, like you're trying to be so unique. I was trying to be so unique, but I didn't understand that my content didn't require all this extra work because I am the content. Like, you are the answer. You, as a human being, are the answer. I realized something, okay? Everyone's talking about how everyone is a podcaster, everyone is trying to be an influencer, blah, blah, blah. But how are all these people still making it? If the space is truly saturated, how come there's so many successful businesses? How come people are still popping off? How come new singers pop up all the time? How come people are still going viral? That's just to tell you that we are designed to all be successful. Like, I truly believe that God wants every person to make it. I truly believe that. And whenever you hear things that discourage you, like, okay, there's no point in doing this, there's no point in doing that. How come some people still join industries at the last hour, and they still make it? They still make it at the 11th hour. They still make it. New content creators are popping out of the blue and they're still making it. How come everyone has 100,000 subscribers or followers? How come everyone is famous now? Like, have you noticed that when we were growing up, we were in the era of like the superstars. So a select few would own the entertainment space and we would only know these people, these big names. Okay, you know Beyonce, you know Rihanna, boom. Let's go gospel. You know Tasha Cobbs, you know Kara Sherd, boom, that's it. We didn't really see so many famous people at the same time doing the same thing, but today everybody's famous. So if success is so elusive, how are people still attaining it is what I'm trying to tell you. How come everybody is a celebrity now? I can't even keep track of celebrities anymore because there's just so many of them. I'm like completely outdated. I don't even know what's going on because everybody is famous. But I'm telling you this because if everybody is famous, if there's so many celebrities, why can't that be you? Why shouldn't that be you? If everyone has a piece of the pie, why can't you have your piece? What's wrong about that? Why are we so archaic in our mindset that we feel like to be a person of influence, you have to be the only one? Like, who said that? Who said that? The stars are all shining in the sky at their own intensity. They're not like, okay, I'm gonna stop shining because so-and-so is shining. They're all shining. That's what makes the sky so beautiful when you look at it at night. I believe we're meant to be like the stars in that way because we're all meant to shine at our own intensity, regardless of how other people are shining around us. That's how we're meant to be living. The world is slowly, gradually getting to that point where everyone has an audience, where everyone has their own micro audience. So why can't you be that person? Because before we didn't have the internet. So obviously things were a little tighter. There was more competition. There were only a few places at the top. But thanks to the internet and all the amazing developments that have grown over the years, the space is now democratized. It's open. The landscape is flat. That's why you can see people doing their thing. Before you had to look up to see people at the top because it was a summit, but now it's an island. It's flat. You just gotta get there, but it's flat and you will be seen. And that's another thing. Don't be afraid to be seen trying. I saw a tweet or a TikTok that said that. Don't be afraid to be seen trying. The landscape is now flat, completely flat. If you want to make it, I truly believe that with the right tools, with the right mindset, with the help of God, everything that you need, you can make it. So back to our story with the tunnel, okay? So in the story, I told you that Z could only be the person in her own tunnel because we all have our secret tunnels. Now, you might be asking, oh, hey, Sabrina, you shared this story. What's your point? How can I find my tunnel? How can I find my unique space? I want you to know that the tunnel is not necessarily something that you find. It's something that you already have. Yes, you will look into yourself. You will explore. You will meditate. You will ask God to help you. But I want you to know that you came in this world with that unique point because you're a single person. Like your fingerprint doesn't look like anyone else's fingerprint. You are already that thing. You are already unique. If you're trying to enter the content space, your story is what makes you unique because no one has the exact same story as you. They might have similar experiences, but they do not have your story. And so the minute you start speaking and you open your mouth, you are unique in that moment, and I want you to lean into that. Whatever you have to share, leverage your story because they don't have the same story as you and they will never be able to put it in the way that you can because you're a unique human being. So I want you to know that you already have a tunnel. And in your tunnel, you're the only one there. You can go as fast as or as slow as you want. And that's really important to know because sometimes we're holding our own selves back. We try to do this content thing. We try to do the influencing thing. We try to help people. But we hold ourselves back because we try to be a little too original, like I talked about earlier. But it's not so much about what you say. It's about why you're saying it and who are you? Why is this important if you say it? Because somebody can come and give you advice. Someone can come and give me singing advice, but I might not necessarily value their advice because I don't know their story. I don't know why they're trying to teach me how to sing. I don't know if they even listen to my music. By the way, make sure to stream my music on Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube. Just type Sabrina K. You'll see all my songs. I make Christian R&B music. But anyway, back to the story. So I might not necessarily listen to what they have to say because I don't know their story. I don't know their background. Like I don't know who these people are. And so you are what makes your content unique. Never forget that. It's always about you. It's not about the content. And I'm in a technical field. I'm a software engineer. So a lot of the content I would make was technical. So I didn't really know how to make content anymore when I was like, okay, well, people can just Google. People can just use ChatGPT. People can just go on someone else's page who's already made a product demo or like a tutorial. Why should they come to me? It's like I started undervaluing my own story. But on the internet, location is still a thing. Just like you would go to a store that's closer to your house if you can. In the digital space, you are still energetically closer to some people. Because although a message has been said time and time again, someone might be drawn to your way of saying it. Someone might be drawn to your approach. Someone might be drawn to your experiences. Someone might relate better to what you have to say. And that's why you should never feel as if this thing is about the content or the message. It's truly about you. It's truly about who God made you to be. It's truly about you stepping up and owning the spaces that you were called to own. And the thing about the tunnel, the reason I say that you already have a tunnel is because you already have some things that you're good at. You already have your strengths. The problem is we try to compete on a standard level. We look for the standard everywhere we go, and we try to align ourselves to that standard instead of living to our strengths. Let me give you another example. So I was a really good student all my life. I've always been a good student. And I was a good student, an amazing student, if I may say so myself. But I was a great student because I would enter a place and I would look for the standard. I would look for the standard. I would go somewhere and I would try to find out, what does it mean to excel in this field? What does success look like in this field? And in whatever it looked like, I would mold myself into that very thing to make it to the top. So another example is like if there was a quiz or a test or anything, I would try to figure out, okay, what's the criteria to pass the quiz? What's the criteria to pass this test? And how can I study for the test? I would always study for the test because that's so easy. Obviously, I would love a lot of the things I was learning, so I would take the extra time to truly understand. But many times I would study for the test because it's just an easier way to go, right? And that's what a lot of us are trying to do with our real lives. We're trying to study, we're trying to live to the test. We're trying to find the standard of what everyone else is doing and then try to distill that and then enter that standard. But that doesn't work because if you do that, you're competing on the same playing field as everybody else. You haven't really entered a tunnel where you're the only one there. In order for you to enter a tunnel where you're the only one there, you need to play to your strengths. You need to sit down and assess yourself and be like, what am I really good at that I really enjoy doing? And that I wouldn't even care if other people are doing it as long as I can still do it. Because I love speaking. I love looking at myself in the mirror every day and just sitting there and talking people's ears off. Okay. I just love talking. And for a long time, I felt like I had nothing else to offer to the space because everybody else has a podcast, everybody else is speaking. But it has to get to the point where you're like, even if everyone else is doing this, I enjoy this activity so much. It's such a natural strength of mine that I would rather do this in a saturated market and still enjoy myself and still move forward. That's what your tunnel looks like. Your tunnel needs to be a space where you know that you're playing to your strengths. It has to be a place where you know you're not trying to fit a mold. So in that way is what true uniqueness is. Like when you realize that you're not trying to fit a mold, you're playing to your strengths. That's what uniqueness looks like. But uniqueness or your desire to be unique does not have to be reflected in your content necessarily. You have to be unique in your mindset, but the things you produce can still very much be what other people are producing, and that's fine. So that's how I was able to understand that. I was like, okay, I've been trying to be so unique in my content. I was trying to come up with some, groundbreaking ideas for my content. When in reality, I should have been trying to break the ground in my mindset. Like I should try to focus my energy on realizing that I have strengths because that's where your true uniqueness, your true uniqueness lies is in realizing that you actually have that within you. You can nurture that. You can harness that. You can develop yourself to truly be a unique person. Even if that doesn't necessarily reflect in your content initially, eventually it will because your content is just an extension of yourself. Your content is an extension of the things you care about. So if you develop that within you, that perspective that I'm a unique human being, I can live an authentic life. I can lean into the things that are drawing me, Like I don't need to try to be interested in what everyone else is interested in, but I can care about the things I care about, even if a billion people care about those things. Once you start doing that, your content may not necessarily reflect that uniqueness yet, but eventually it will. But the problem is we're trying to make the content so unique. We're trying to stand out so much. We feel like our stuff is oversaturated, but we're not taking the time to develop ourselves as creators because the content is only an extension truly of who you are. So what is the work that you're putting in to yourself to grow your mind, to expand your horizons? What are you reading? What are you feeding yourself with? Because just like, to produce something with AI, to produce something with ChatGPT, you had to give it some context. Obviously, all these machines, all these tools are built off of humans, right? The machine learns because humans learn a similar way. So what are you feeding yourself with that can eventually produce the content that you want to put out in the world? So that's my suggestion to you. I realize this for myself, and now I'm just way more concerned about leaning into what I truly like, leaning into what I truly love, leaning into what makes me happy, what makes my baby leap, so to speak. Leaning into that, not concerning myself with what other people are doing, and just seeing where my own path leads me. And I feel like that's a perspective that is going to help you. You want your journey to feel sweet. You don't just want to feel like you're trying to get to a certain follower count or a certain number, but you want to do it because you truly enjoy what you're doing. That's what your secret tunnel looks like. All this to say, you guys, that you are your own competitive advantage. The sum total of your experiences, your perspective, your outlook on life, what happened to you, what didn't happen to you, that is what makes you unique. That's your unique selling point. Your unique selling point is you, like who God made you to be. It's not your content necessarily. Once you start shifting that energy of I'm going to make my content so unique to I'm going to be very unique and express myself, things will fall into alignment. Things will fall into alignment. And you're going to stop putting so much pressure on yourself like I did to, be a star so quickly and know everything, because you're just not going to play by those rules anymore. So don't live your life looking for the standard and then trying to align yourself to it. Live your life living your essence. What's your essence? Are you spending time discovering your essence? And how can you pour that essence in everything that you're working on? So that's the end of the episode today. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this was helpful. If you enjoyed this episode, you guys, please make sure to share it with your tribe, share it with your family. And give me a thumbs up, give me a like, give me a share, give me everything. Hope to see you in the next episode. Thank you. Bye.